A message to the owners of the club. Have a listen.
In every friendly games, played always the best formation, and it happened the same also today, because my choices was to put the best player that we have in this moment. I repeat, I don't like this type of or this habit. If someone want to send message, why I have to send message? Why? I want to win. I want to win, and today I wanted to win, not to send message my club. Why? And
He might not have wanted to send a message, but didn't that starting 11 and the bench send a message today?
Yeah, but not by his choice. I think they're short on numbers, that's a fact. And Pedro's injured, Eden Hazard's injured. You can't question Conte for playing Boga when everybody's criticising Chelsea for not playing young players. I think he's impressed in pre-season. Moses is injured, he's had to change, plays Azpilicueta at right wing back, not ideal, he wants a wing back, but that was probably the only move he could have made today. The fact remains, they need a bigger squad, I think, and at the moment, the negative feel of coming out of Chelsea compared to the positive feel at Manchester City, at Manchester United, even at Arsenal and Tottenham as such, it's not working for anybody. And you can see it on his face there, the way he's speaking, how upset he is at the moment. It's a big frustration in him.
And football fans don't have an awful lot of sympathy for Chelsea, because they're saying, well, this might not be your dream starting 11, but look at the number of players you've allowed to go out on loan or that you've sold under Conte's first 12 months in charge.
I agree with that to an extent.
Created this.
Yeah, but if you look at the numbers of players who have gone on loan, I think there's 17 or something, but a lot of them are not near the first team. And that's not me having an insight. I've seen them, and a lot of them, and it's not a criticism of them, they're developing as players. They're not knocking on the door to make a difference to come in the first team and win. There are some there, Boga's played there, as I said, had a good pre-season. Losing Chalobah, I think, was a mistake. I don't know how it quite happened, for quite a low price as well. Loftus-Cheek, really, he's got to take it upon himself now this season to show why they let him go out and show that he needs to be back there. But I think if they're going to challenge, we all want to bring young players through, and I think that should happen, and maybe it should happen more. But if you want to challenge, you need to match what Manchester City have done. They've put it all on the line this summer, and you've seen little glimpses of that today, and I think you'll see more. And Conte wants to react. He wants to move forward.
Yeah, it just seems to me that there's friction behind the scenes. You wonder whether all them decisions for the loans and people moving on have been decisions that are taken out of his hand, and that's why he's frustrated. We see a lot of emotion from him on the sideline, on the pitch, which is great, but that's the first time I've seen him really upset and emotional in a press conference. He's usually really calm and speaks really well.
I think the questions are getting on his nerves slightly, aren't they? The fact that, is that a message to the board? That is a ridiculous question, because he's a serial winner and he wants to go out and win the game today. And he could have won the game with a little bit more discipline out of his side, because the second half, as I said before, they were excellent. And, the lady mentioned there, Burnley were hanging on. Even when they were down to 9 men, they were hanging on. So they should have always stayed in the game. And likewise, I'm with Frank. We've seen lots of people go out on loan. The reason they're out on loan is to get more experience, to play loan football, football league football, or even abroad with proper men, know what it means to win a game, what 3 points mean, what win bonuses mean to lesser people. And they're there to get experience, to maybe come back next year and be good enough to get in the Chelsea side. The reason they're out on loan is because they're not good enough to play in that first team at the moment, but they need strengthening massively. The side last year was different. This year, they've got the Champions League round the corner. They need more people.
I think one positive from today is obviously Mata getting on the score sheet. He had a difficult week last week in the Charity Shield, and now he seems to be back, and that'll do his confidence the world of good.
Yeah, they need to get him up front, playing up top as a goal scorer. They obviously need Eden Hazard to be there, because Eden Hazard for me is the magic in the team. There's obviously quality throughout the team. Pedro, Willian, both exciting players, but Eden Hazard is the real one that can make things happen out of nothing.
And they need to sort the Costa situation out. Every time we see him on a beach in Brazil or playing football with his mates in Brazil, it causes consternation, doesn't it? We need him either gone or back and working hard and back in the team and helping the team. But that needs to be rectified very, very quickly.
And to add to all this, red cards today for Fabregas and Cahill as well, so they're now out for a few games, and we can have a look at the forthcoming fixtures for Chelsea, of which they're not easy. If the board don't go and do what Conte wants them to do, and if they don't go and significantly strengthen this Chelsea side, can you still see them winning the Premier League? You said only a week ago, the Community Shield, that you're favourites for the title. Do you still stand with that?
Good question. Well, having looked at City today and looked at the the resources they've got on the bench, let alone the great starting 11. And then you look at Chelsea. We shouldn't jump to conclusions this early. And Chelsea, by fact, have Eden Hazard, Bakayoko will be fit, Morata will be at that front role. I think as a first 11, they definitely challenge. But as the season goes by now, they're playing Champions League and all everything they're in, it's going to become harder for him to match it because he's going to have to rotate, he's going to have to find different solutions, and he might struggle now.
You make a good politician, you're learning quickly.
Do you want an answer? Maybe Man City are favourites now. I don't know. Listen, this is for sure the hardest year in recent memory of having to choose a winner because everyone's so strong.
They were slightly fortunate last year with injuries because they were only playing in the, you know, they were not playing in Europe last year, so they got away with a couple of injuries. But you know, as Frank rightly said, if you've got your starting 11 or your strong 13 that you can rely on every single game, they are certainly good enough and strong enough. But we know that 2 or 3 injuries decimates big teams nowadays, so you need just to bulk it up a little bit more.
I think also with having Europe as well. Last year was very different when you're playing a game a week. When you're coming on the back of tough Champions League games, and then you've got to go and have a tough Premier League game. It's a completely different story.
And look, I know it's hard for you to sit here and talk about the struggles for Chelsea, but don't worry, because we're now going to talk about Liverpool. And it's fair to say the fans are not particularly happy. Let's get some reaction to their draw today.
Hard to take that, so hard to take. Liverpool get in the winning position after being behind. The 3 points looks like it's in the bag. And then yet again, poor defending of set pieces lets Liverpool down. And the first corner that Liverpool concede of the season, they concede a goal. And it's the same old problems. People will talk about Van Dijk and whether that will solve things for Liverpool. But for me, Liverpool have got to start defending better as a team from set pieces. This has been a consistent problem from Liverpool. It needs to change.
So there you go, set piece is a consistent problem. This is a tweet from Rory Smith, who's a journalist, and he says, thing is, and this applies to Liverpool and Arsenal, defending is as much about coaching as it is personnel. Now, so much talk about Virgil van Dijk and whether or not he joins Liverpool or not, but if they play their zonal defending game, which they do, whether Virgil van Dijk is in that team or not, you may well still end up in a position where Firmino is there as your number 9 right in the middle of the box looking to defend a corner. I mean, it's not going to help them if Virgil van Dijk comes in and they still play like that, is it?
I think he'll certainly be a help, you know, the size of him and his presence, and everyone knows he's a magnet in the box. That's the reason why, you know, he's going to go for probably 50, 60 million pound. But, you know, coaches set you up to defend set pieces now, whether it's man-to-man or whether it's zone. At the end of the day, then players have got to go out and do the jobs, the individual jobs. Someone's got to take responsibility in there to go and head the ball away. And it's also important that the right men are in the right areas for when Watford's big men are coming in. Now, Firmino, for me, shouldn't be in the middle of the 6-yard box, so that is something they have to look at.
But this has been a recurring problem under Jurgen Klopp, struggling to defend from set pieces. The stats tell us that it's an issue. The problem for the Liverpool fans is that they've seen all these numbers. They're now tuning into a brand new season thinking, right, this is great. He's had a whole summer to work with them. Things are going to be different. He's had time at the club. But things are not different. And that's the frustration. Why can't he solve this problem?
Well, that is very frustrating. You know, you could virtually see what was going to happen today with while watching Liverpool. They went behind sloppily. You knew they'd get back into the game. They got back into the game. They were comfortably on top. At 3-2, they missed chances at 3-2. Yeah. They should have easily been 5-3, 6-3.
Why are they not sorting out the defence?
Well, the defence is another issue, of course it is. But you can't just blame everything. Yes, they had problems defensively, but they should have, when they got 3-2 up, it should have went 4-2 and it should have went 5-2. And then if they conceded a sloppy goal, it wouldn't have mattered. So you can blame the team as a whole for not, you know, putting Watford away earlier on. But the first goal, I mean, even the second goal, but certainly the third goal, which I did think was offside, it was sloppy. Defensively not clearing the lines yet again. Yeah. And the manager, and Stephen rightly said, the players who are in that position, the manager can only put them there. It's up to them to attack the ball, to clear the lines, to win the ball, to show a bit of fight. And if they're not doing it, then they'll be out of the team and someone else will be in.
That's the thing. Coaching is one thing, but responsibility on the pitch is the main thing. So you can, as you say, set them out there at a set piece or tell them what position to be in. But if you're looking at the last minute of a game, and you know that that's been your problem last year, why are people on the pitch not getting each other and going, come on, let's throw our bodies on the line? You know, it's almost like someone ducks out of a header or doesn't take responsibility. You've got to stand up and go, I'm going to head out the way down the other end of the pitch.
And if Van Dijk comes in, there's only certain places he can stand on the field.
Yeah, exactly. And then solve all the problems.
Well, exactly. If a ball misses him out, it's up to somebody else to die for the cause and put your head on it and clear your lines and hang on. Yeah. And do all that scruffy things if you're just clearing your lines away. But I certainly just don't think you can blame it solely on the defence. Yes, they caused problems today. But as far as I'm concerned, watching the Liverpool game as I did, I thought Liverpool, once they got into the commanding position, they broke, they had chances, they probably were guilty of not scoring the fourth as well, and giving everybody that little bit of relaxation, that little bit of rest by thinking, right, we can cruise through to the end of the game now.
Not taking chances, not defending well enough, and that's not the end of the problems either. Here's a question for you, Stephen, from a Liverpool fan.
Hi guys, it's Ben here, and obviously the speculation surrounding Coutinho still exists. Barcelona's still putting bids in, still interested, and who can blame them? It's a tough one for him, it's a tough one for Liverpool. Has his head been turned, and if that is the case, how do we convince him to stay? And I'd love to know from Steven Gerrard, who's obviously experienced this, if this is in any way similar to Suarez, how did you manage to convince him to just do one more year, and can we do that with Coutinho, with Barcelona looming?
Thanks, Ben. He's got your book on the shelf.
Yeah, good decision. Good decision. I'm not sure.
But he had Michael Owens as well, that's the only problem.
He had Carras as well for the early night, didn't he?
Just in case he'll
He'll be watching. Yeah, good TV. Right, what did you do?
Well, it was slightly different. Obviously, Arsenal were calling. I'm not sure Barcelona were calling for Suarez at that time. Yeah, there was a bit of speculation in the papers, but they were only rumours. So I'm not sure Barcelona were there at that time for Suarez. The only people that I heard were there for real were Arsenal. They were offering 40 million and 1 pence. And for me, what Suarez had done at the club and the relationship he had with the fans, I just sat him down and said, why ruin all that and go and join a club that gives you no guarantees to success? I don't think you're making such a big jump up. Why don't you be patient, give Liverpool another season, and the fans will understand if you give them another year and then Barcelona come. I think the difference here is Coutinho, in January, just signed a 5-year deal. He's become the highest paid player at the club. He comes out and says he's really, really happy, and then the first time Barcelona come, he puts the transfer request in. So I think the fans are frustrated, and you can understand them.
And we've had this conversation before. He's been given bad advice. Surely you don't need to publicly put a transfer request in, or get a source, a member of his family, come out and say the things that he did, because he doesn't need to. He just needs to have a conversation with Liverpool behind closed doors. I'm unhappy, I want to leave, and it's up to Liverpool to say yes or no. You can't please him 1 minute by giving him a huge reward in January, and then 5 months later, be arguably stabbed in the back. So I think it's in Liverpool's right just to say, you're not going anywhere. We're having you. We've got the Champions League. There's bigger things on the horizon for Liverpool. It's so late on in the transfer window, it's nigh impossible to replace him with that money. You're staying, and we'll see what we have a great season, and we'll see what we can do early next year before the World Cup. Because he has to play anyway to have a good to get into the Brazil squad for the World Cup.
Okay, well, after Liverpool's draw today, Jurgen Klopp spoke about the situation. Here's what he said.
As a manager in a football club, I have bosses, and if bosses decide, for example, just in general, we sell a player or we don't sell him, then I have to accept it. If they say don't sell him, then I'm not involved anymore. Then I'm responsible for all other players, for all players, not just one, not just two, not just 3, 25, whatever. So I cannot say anything about it. The only thing is I work with the players I have.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting. I think it's a really tough one. I see both sides, and for me, the fact is, South American players, I'm not throwing a blanket over all of them here, but they don't have a Steven Gerrard tie to Liverpool or a John Terry tie to Chelsea. Now, it doesn't mean they don't feel the club, and I'm sure he has a massive feeling. I know Suarez, it's very evident he had a huge feeling for the club. But Barcelona come calling, it's a huge deal for them. But the club, I think, because he signed a 5-year deal, I think it's in the club's hands. And I think 100 million sounds a lot, but in the modern market, at this stage where they probably can't bring anyone else in for this season, I think you stick it out and keep him for another year.
Even if you stick it out with an unhappy Coutinho not playing as well as he has previously?
Well, that's on him. He has to be professional. He has to play. World Cup's coming. He's a top player. Play another year. And then he still sits at 25, 26 years of age with everything in front of him. But if he turns it in, everyone looks upon him badly, so he can't win from that either.
Yeah, and if he has a bad year, why will Barcelona take him next year if he has a really poor year and he behaves very unprofessionally? They've just had a player leave the club who's behaved very unprofessionally. They don't want anything to do with that, Barcelona. They feel as if they're above that. So if Coutinho doesn't do the business this year, their targets will move to somebody else.
It's also a World Cup year as well, so Coutinho needs to shine. Yeah, but the problem here are Barcelona, because they will be saying to Coutinho's representatives, it's now or never. Yeah. If he doesn't come now, we're never coming back from ever again. So they're piling the pressure off, and that's why Phillips reacted. So I agree with Frank to a certain extent. Look, it's frustrating for Liverpool fans, of course it is. He's a top player, we've just given him a new contract. But this kid who's come up from South America has always had a dream of playing for Barcelona, and he's panicking, thinking that if he doesn't do it now, it'll never happen again.
So do you have sympathy for him in that respect?
A little bit, of course. I know the kid. I know he's not a bad person. I know he doesn't want to cause a war to come out. But at the end of the day, he's just signed a 5-year deal. The club have been superb to him. They've made him the player who he is. You remember he was struggling at Inter Milan. We give him the chance. We've built this player up. I think the least he can do is give the club another year.
And also, we wouldn't be talking about this. Only the bombshell of Neymar's just happening. If Neymar stays there, he's not leaving Liverpool. They don't want him. But Dortmund have said no to Dembele for a fortune. Liverpool have said no because it's in nobody's interest. The only people who can win out of this, of course, will be Barcelona because they're getting a player. But it's not in Liverpool's interest. The club as a whole.
It worked with Suarez. You're still involved at the club. Would you want to go and speak to Coutinho, have a word with him, meet him for a coffee?
Cheers, Jake.
Put it on TV. That's all you need.
Speak Portuguese to him.
Listen,
You know,
at the
that's
moment,
what you
I'm not involved. I think Jurgen's got it under control. I think FSG have got it under control, and they're the key. You know, there's been times in the past where players, you know, have been unsettled and they've gone in and said, you know, I'm desperate to go, blah blah, and then it's ended up happening. This is a huge test for the club from top to bottom to try and be as strong as they can till the end and don't give in.
OK, one-word answer because we've got to rush to the break. In this transfer window, does Coutinho stay or go?
Stays for me.
Stays for me.
Stays.
OK, there you go. Right, plenty more to talk about, including your 3-word match reports. Get them going. Tweet us at Mr. Jake Humphrey or use the hashtag PLTonight if you want to get involved. Tell us who you support and how you'd sum up your team's performance in just 3 words today. And after the break, Paul Barber is going to be sitting in Steve's chair. You can sort of stand in the corner, have a cup of tea or something.
Is that it? I've done now.
No, we're getting you back in afterwards. Paul is the chief exec here at Brighton, so we're going to talk to him about life in the Premier League for his football club and the challenges that await them in the next few months. So stay where you are. Plenty more to come on this evening's Premier League Tonight. Welcome back to Premier League Tonight. I'm very pleased to say that Paul Barber joins us, the chief exec here at Brighton. Emotions after today, pride for 70 minutes, but just it's ruthless, this league, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, we came up against a top quality side. You know, I thought we did quite well for the first hour or so, but in the end, their quality told, and we got punished twice.
All right, good man. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk Brighton in plenty of detail in a moment. 3-word match reports coming in. Becca, who's a Burnley fan, says epic, unbelievable, dreaming. It's a nice way to start the season, isn't it?
It's great for Burnley, isn't it? It's a great story. Well done.
Mark says amazing, amazing Terriers. Mark Pemberton, Pep's a genius. We don't need to guess who his football club is. Same old Palace, says Eagles Rob. And Ifan Roberts says funny old game. And Ryan, football is crazy. He's a Liverpool fan. Right, well, let's get into it then. Let's talk about Brighton, and we'll start with a couple of Brighton fans. Here are their thoughts.
Up very early this morning, couldn't sleep. It's a little bit like Christmas Day, waking up as a kid. It's my brother James. James, how you feeling?
Great. It's a great day for the club.
Take a point. Point would be absolutely brilliant. You'll want more than that, then, won't you?
I'd be happy with 3.
Feeling confident as well. Defended so well. Keep it up for another 45 minutes, and we got a point.
Fingers crossed.
Well, bit of a shame. Man City beat us 2-0. Up until 70 minutes, we were competing defensively, absolutely solid, and I think our heads dropped a little bit.
Yeah,
after
a bit of a
70
shame. One mistake led to the goal, and then as soon as that first goal went in, the heads were going to go down. It was going to be difficult from there, but positives to take away.
Look, one of the big issues for you here is dealing with expectation, because there's a lot of football fans here that have been used to winning games over the past 12 months.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the problems. We've tried during the summer to obviously make people realise it. In the Premier League, we've taken a massive step up. We've become used to winning, but this league is unforgiving, as we've seen today. So we've got a long way to go, 37 more games. We're very positive, we're confident, we've got a good squad, great support, and we'll give it a good go this season.
OK, what's the summer transfer window like in 2017 for the chief exec at a football club?
It's been very, very difficult. I mean, we've had great support from the chairman. We're financially very well backed. We are very clear on our recruitment. We know the sort of players we want, the type of characters we want.
What are they?
Well, we want obviously good technical players. We want quick players, players that are good with the ball. We like to play football. We want good characters, because we've got a great squad where the people in our squad are good guys and they work well together. We've got a great sense of togetherness. Yeah. So adding to that squad is challenging.
That's going to cost you £50 million a player, isn't it?
Yeah, it's difficult. It really is, and that's one of the challenges we've got. We know we're up against clubs with much bigger budgets than us, and therefore we've got to be smarter in the transfer market than the rest of them.
your early signings were foreign players. Is that simply because they're cheaper?
I think we're quite prepared to go overseas to find value. We're not afraid to sign British players. Izzy Brown is coming on loan from Chelsea. He's got great talent, great prospect. But we are fishing in a pond which is increasingly expensive and very difficult for us to land the British players.
Chris Hughton's a brilliant manager. Did really well for you last year. How much is he knocking on your door, saying, "Come on, Paul, sort me out here"? Tony Bloom's got plenty of money. The Premier League are going to be sending money into your bank account. Because for a football fan, it feels that straightforward, doesn't it?
It does. Unfortunately, it's not. And the best players are always sought after by more than one club. The selling club won't necessarily want to sell, and then of course you've got to get the terms agreed with the player and the agent, which can be challenging in itself. So we're in a very difficult transfer market, but we're working through it. We've still got a good couple of weeks to go, and we'll try and get what Chris needs.
Yeah. And you boys know Paul, don't you?
Yes, yeah, through England, yeah. Work together a lot, yeah. So what I was thinking as well, not just about the pitch and the players, but I think what a great job you've done here, the atmosphere in the stadium. And I read something, I think yesterday, about how there was a 10% bonus for everybody who worked at the club last year. Yeah, right, like staff, not just the players.
Apart from you, it was 20%, wasn't it?
Yeah, we don't know what yours was. But I just think that's the sort of thing that breeds a club that's doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's important. Everybody played a part in our promotion. It didn't just happen last season. We've been building to this over a number of years, and certainly since the Amex opened, it's been our aim to get there. And we wanted everybody to share in that success, and we're delighted that they did.
Can you give us any idea how many signings Chris is looking for? Is he looking for that one more, for example, a forward, maybe with a bit of pace, or is he looking for 2 or 3? Or
well, we're in the process at the moment of bringing in Jose Izquierdo, who is a Colombian winger, very quick attacking player. We're working on the work permit, which hopefully we'll have a hearing on Wednesday. The deal is done in principle. The medical was done today, so now we've got the work permit issue to deal with on Wednesday. We also want to bring in another striker, a number 9 ideally, to complement what we've got. And if we can add maybe one other, we'll be doing that if we can before the end of the window closes. And the difficulty is just the competition out there, the kind of money that we've already talked about, and getting these things over the line is sometimes problematic. But we're quite comfortable where we are. We just need to move on in the next week or so.
Do you also feel a responsibility to let the lads that brought you up stay and have a crack at the Premier League?
Yeah, Chris is a very loyal manager, as you know, Frank. He's very keen to give those guys that got us to this position the chance. Yeah. As I said earlier, they're a very good group of players. They've got a great spirit, and they deserve that chance.
How much have you got to spend on that striker? Because that's almost like your last bit of business to do, isn't it? And is Cuerdo?
That will be giving it away, Jake. Yeah, it'll be giving it away. But we're prepared to get the deal done that's out there. And the chairman's been hugely supportive of us right from the day he took over. And I'm sure that we'll get the work done over the next week or so.
The new signing, say his name again.
Jose Izquierdo.
Izquierdo. He's is he a record, a Brighton record?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he will be.
Would you break the record again if the right striker was available?
Again, if we had to, of course, the chairman has backed us. But as I say, we've got our eye on one particular player. It's going to be difficult to get it done, but we're going to try very hard.
Intriguing. Let's have a look at the next fixtures that are coming up for your guys. How does Chris work? Do you discuss with him 2 points from this game, a win from this game? Is it a number of points that you want between now and the end of the season? What's the sort of internal target?
That's very much for Chris and his staff and the players. We try and stay out of that. It's not for us to set those targets. Chris knows from his previous experience what it needs to you need to do to stay in this division. We know it's going to be difficult, but this was probably the toughest opener we could have had. We're playing probably one of the best squads of footballers in the world. If we haven't seen it, I don't know what is. And we know over the next few games we've got even tougher challenges coming up as well, because we need to get points on the board.
And you talk about Chris's loyalty. If the worst happened this season, you'd remain loyal to him? Sometimes when it's your first promotion, it takes 2 or 3 seasons of yo-yoing before you settle.
We've worked with Chris now for 2.5 years. I worked with him previously at Spurs. We know what Chris is about. We know his quality, his integrity. He's a great human being. The chairman's also of the same ilk. He's a high-quality chairman who's very patient and supports his managers. And I'm very sure that Chris will get all the support from Tony and myself that he needs.
Great, very good. Let's talk about some other newcomers to the Premier League. Let's hear from David Major. He's a Huddersfield fan. What's the day for them today?
Right, here we are. It's 2 minutes to 6. Just about to set off now down to London. Crystal Palace away. Huddersfield Town's first game in the Premier League. Let's have it. Train's here. Off we go.
absolutely unbelievable. I cannot believe what I just witnessed. I was thinking we could get a point here. Let's come and dominate like we have and win 3-0 like we have. Steve Rooney, what a player. He's got to be one to watch. He's got to be one of the world's greatest players. That was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Beyond my wildest dreams. What a performance. Happy with that. Very happy with that. Big on Newcastle next week. Let's have it. Top of the league.
Very good. So does that result for Huddersfield give you optimism or put the pressure on a little bit?
No, I think Huddersfield did very well today, and congratulations to them. But we've just got to focus on what we do, and over the next 37 games, get the points we need to stay in this division.
Yeah, we've got a message that come in from Cozza says, do you think Huddersfield will survive in the Premier League after today's performance? It's so difficult, isn't it? You win your first game and the fans, as you can see there, just think the Premier League ride is going to be a great one.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely can stay in the league, as can Brighton. We're one game in. And I think what that shows just over Huddersfield, I didn't see the game, but what Spirit can do. Of course, Huddersfield are not going to maybe match certain teams in the league for actual quality because they haven't got the funds to do so. But if you can galvanise a Spirit and get players at the top end of the pitch, that Mooney scored 2 goals there and won them the game today, then you've got a chance. That's the beauty of the Premier League.
Yeah, I think you can only really get a flavour for this league after 10 games. You know, you look at the opening fixtures, Man City at home was probably the toughest fixture in the league. With all due respect to Crystal Palace, it was a good fixture for Huddersfield. You know, they struggled last season. Crystal Palace, they've got a new manager and it might take time for them to find a bit of rhythm. So I think, yeah, it's a fantastic result for Huddersfield, and of course the fans are going to be happy, but let's come back to that one in 10 games' time.
Let's see. Look, thanks very much for finding the time to come and join us. If I gave you 17th right now, would you take it?
For sure. For sure. No, staying in the league is everything.
A sign?
Oh dear. That's everything, isn't it? Well, look, good luck for finding the player you need for the end of the transfer window. I'm sure that agents somewhere will be making a few quid if they can. But look, we really appreciate you finding the time to come and join us. Very best of luck. Right, still to come, 3-word match reports. Get your thoughts in today about your team's performance today, who you support, and the 3 words that sum up your team's performance. And after the break, we'll also show you the goals from Arsenal's opening night win in the Premier League, but only just. See you in a second. Welcome back. Half an hour left of this evening's Premier League tonight. Joining the conversation, use the hashtag PL tonight. Connor's got in touch to say, ask Frank if he fancies coming out of retirement for Tottenham away.
Is that next weekend? I'd need a good pre-season, I think, before I could even...
Hold on a minute. We saw you getting changed in the Winnebago earlier. You're fine.
The weekends after that. The weekends after you can play.
And I want the number 10 free roll weapon.
Listen, they'll take what they can get at the moment, wouldn't they? 3-word match reports as well. A Chelsea fan, Richie, says disappointing but potential. Dean, Conte to leave? ? Would it come to that?
Conte leaving? Only he knows, isn't he? I mean, he's been known to do it before. I don't see it at this point. I mean, maybe at the end of the season if it goes the wrong way. But
yeah, Patrick is an Everton fan. He says strong in defence. We'll talk about Everton in just a couple of minutes. And as we've discussed, this is from Incongro, same old Liverpool. Right, let's have a look then at the goals from Friday night. Arsenal against Leicester. I'll tell you what, Stephen, it was some...
There's big problems for them as well.
What's going on here? Bad defending or brilliant attacking play in the Premier League so far?
A bit of both. I think it's the beauty of day one. I think you get that thing when they're talking about it during the game. Are people quite ready? Is the fitness level completely up? Is the focus and concentration completely where it should be? And it's good entertainment, but there's things that managers are going to want to tighten up on, certainly defensively.
OK, right, back to you, of course. This is your show. If you want to join in the conversation in the studio, hashtag PL tonight. Let's hear from Sophia. She's an Arsenal fan.
I thought we was going to lose. How we managed to come back, I'll never know. I'm loving Lacazette. He was brilliant. Giroud did what Giroud does, comes off the bench, we have to keep him. The defence was shocking, that needs fixing, but I'm happy with the win. 4-3, come on you guys.
Oh, she's got a smile on her face, very nice.
That's not like her, is it, to be like that?
OK, right, let's hear from Peter McPartland. He's an Everton fan.
Wayne Rooney's back, there you go, 1-0 to Everton. It was meant to be, it was written in the stars. It was actually better that it was just 1-0 and it was Wayne Rooney. Bit of a poor start of the game today for the Blues. Second half, changed it. Put players in positions that they're supposed to play in. Who'd have thought it? Everton still look a little bit short, but Michael Keane, absolutely magnificent. Jordan Pickford in goal, had to make one save in the very last minute. Absolutely outstanding save. But it was Wayne Rooney's day.
after a great summer, a good start for Everton. All three of you have been in positions towards the end of your career where this sort of ruthless world of football, which is probably worse than ever, you know, football fans are saying, oh, they're done, they're finished. It must feel great when you get that, and then like Wayne today, you go and score a goal and just remind everybody of your quality.
Yeah, of course, and you know, no one's ever doubted Wayne Rooney's ability. Who's played with him, we've got a bit of advantage. We've seen him very, very closely. He's a top player. He's still at an age where he can deliver at the top level. But it's a massive day for Wayne today. Just to, if there was any criticism or doubters out there, he's certainly proved them wrong.
It was a really nice goal as well, wasn't it? Really good header, which you don't necessarily associate him with, but his movement and his desire to get into the position to score the header where he shrugs Joe Allen off and shows that pace. I thought it was a great goal. I really did.
It's what the best players do, though. The best player. How many times have we seen Wayne Rooney at Manchester United produce when there'd maybe a question mark for England? Many a time. The best players pop up when needed, and he's done it today. Good for him.
And have you got any doubts about Wayne at this stage, or do you all think this is brilliant business for Everton, not just for what he gives them on the field, but in the dressing room as well as a serial winner?
Everything. It's a no-lose for them. It gives him the hunger to come back and try and show, which I think you can see that in his face as he's celebrating there. Quality, dressing room, everything. Everton, the name that Wayne Rooney is, it was a no-lose for them. I do wonder with Everton, they still need a bit of pace up front because they lost Lukaku and they've got quite a few similar players now in that kind of number 10 attacking midfield role. Can they get in behind? But great for Wayne again today.
Yeah, I think there's big pressure on Sandro. You know, can he be that man? He is quick, but has he got the experience to produce the type of goals that Lukaku does? But Everton have spent well. They've got a good manager. There's a lot of positivity about, and adding Wayne to that only helps that grow.
Yeah, I just want him to have the patience to stay in the danger areas, play in the further number 10 role. I don't want to see him dropping deeper and deeper because he'll become less important. If he stays and plays in the position where he is today, through times when Everton mightn't be playing too well, he'll score lots of goals. He looked really dangerous today.
And briefly, if you can, do you see Ross Barkley playing another game for them?
I don't know enough about it. I don't know if he might be closer to it there. It looks no from the outside, but I don't know.
I think it depends whether they get the Sigurdsson deal over the line. I think if they were to sign Sigurdsson, it looks bleak for Ross in terms of playing for Everton again. We'll have to wait and see how that one pans out over the next couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, I agree with Stephen. I think my answer would be at this moment in time, yes, of course I can see him playing again. He's injured at the minute, so he won't be playing, but if they need him, they'll play him. I don't see why they shouldn't do. He's an Everton player and he's still got a year left on his contract regardless of anything.
OK, well, there's plenty of reasons for Everton fans to be optimistic after the transfer window, which of course isn't even shut as we know. But why are you optimistic about your club this season? We'll be discussing all of the reasons to be positive straight after the break. See you in a second. Welcome back. Nice to have you with us for the first Premier League tonight of the new season. How have you found it so far?
Really good.
It's nice to have some time just to sit and talk football, isn't it?
Very good.
Lots of people with their season predictions in just 3 words. We need defenders, says Nazira, who's a Liverpool fan. Killer, United title charge. Alan, who's a Spurs fan, same top 6. He's hoping. Ian Walker, Seagulls staying up, obviously a Brighton fan. And Kenny, who's a Watford fan, says goals, goals, goals. There's been plenty of those on the opening weekend of the season. So we've been asking you your reasons for optimism this new Premier League season.
What?
Optimism.
Okay.
Sorry, listen.
I thought you said something else, sorry.
Your mouth would be tired by now if you'd done as much to it. Oh, you so annoying, but you just say perfect, Macca. There's nothing I can come back at you with. Reasons for optimism. Here's what they are.
I think this season, without European football, Leicester are in with a good chance of pushing for a top 6 place. Kelechi Iheanacho is a fantastic signing, and I'm really optimistic about him and Jamie Vardy linking up together this season.
I think that speed of transition and hitting people on the counter-attack, using Lukaku in the channels, is one reason Manchester United fans have to be optimistic going into this season.
We've now got a hungry side, a young side, that can really do things. Come on, Stoke.
We're optimistic because we've got Rafa Benitez. With him in charge, expect a few shock results this year.
All right, loads coming in as well on social media. Hashtag PL Tonight to get involved. And Chris carries on that last comment there. Optimistic because of Rafa, pessimistic because of Ashley. Whatever he does, Mike Ashley can't win, can he? Kaushal Patel, optimistic. Lukaku and Rashford, Mkhitaryan and Pogba will push us to another level. Talks with Ibra are ongoing. Matic signing, we are real title contenders. Daniel Glockling, optimistic. One of, if not the best first 11s in the league. Pessimistic, though, we don't have enough depth. And Ryan, Liverpool's defence is a mess. Lallana Hunter's out for about 3 months, and we don't know if Coutinho will stay. Safe to say I'm a little bit concerned. Well, let's talk about sort of your experiences of optimism or pessimism ahead of the new season. Was there ever one season where you felt beforehand, this is going to be ours, Stephen?
Listen, it was always difficult because there's always top sides in the league with top players as well. But when Luis Suarez come in the door and I seen him close up on a daily basis, I used to go into every game thinking you had a chance of winning it. Whether that was going to be good enough to be consistent over 38 games or to win you the trophy at the end of the season, it's tough to predict. But he was the one player that really, really blew me away.
What about you, Frank?
Yeah, I think generally, we had so many managers at Chelsea. We always generally had a pretty good squad, but I always went for the manager. You know, that first talk pre-season, the buzz of the training, keeping the players excited. Jose Mourinho first time round, we were all at a perfect age at 24, 25, really hungry to go and win things, and you felt good. On the flip side, I remember when we won the Champions League, the following season, Di Matteo stayed on. There was talk that the club wasn't sure about giving him a contract, but they did give him a contract. It didn't feel quite right in pre-season. We went to the Super Cup and Falcao scored 4 in about 20 minutes. We were 4-0 down, and that was one of those where you think, this is going to be a tough year. We ended up winning the Europa Cup, but we started the season terribly.
And as a senior member of the squad in that situation, what did you do?
Well, you try and galvanise things, and you try and talk to players and create that bit of fun in training, or promote hard work, but making it for the good of all of us. But it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes things set in, and as I say, more of an atmosphere as opposed to the quality of the squad.
I think that's really important if you've got a really good group spirit and you know that a couple of additions here and there, and if you know that when they come in and they join in the training and you can see they fit and they improve the squad or improve the team, I think that really helps, and the confidence then just rolls on. If you look at Real Madrid now, for instance, they look nigh on unstoppable. They look as if they're all happy. The manager looks as if he's happy, and you just feel as if they haven't got any weaknesses. And I think when they add a few more players, and as I said the other day, they've made money, but it looks as if they're building a squad for the future. And I think when you've got like a finely tuned machine, you would say, I think then we're going to steamroll teams this year. And I think Man City have got that little bit of air of confidence at this moment in time.
When you were at Real and they were just buying superstars left, right and centre, is there a small part of you as a player thinking, don't buy anyone else, I want to play in this team, I want to be part of it?
No,
or is
because
it just pure optimism
they
and
didn't buy a
positivity?
lot of bulk. That was the thing. It used to be like one. When they brought Luis Figo in, it was just a one player. I think when they brought Zidane in, it was just a one player. It wasn't a case of we're buying 7 or 8, so everybody's panicking. It wasn't like that at all. It was one had come in and a couple might leave quietly, but that one would make the team better. And as I said before, as long as he wasn't a person with a huge ego, and they very rarely were, because a lot of the players couldn't speak Spanish when they first arrived in the dressing room. If they just fitted into the dressing room and the local Spanish lads were still the bosses, it was just like, oh, it's harmony, he's fitted in, he's a great player, he'll improve us, let's just roll on.
And you're in the sunshine on the beach playing golf.
Not on the beach, no. Madrid is in the centre of Spain.
Yeah, but you're not far from the beach. Beverley, I'm optimistic with the new signings at West Ham. Above 10th would make me happy, though. Stuart, optimistic because Pochettino is the best young manager in Europe. Pessimistic, it's Spurs. We're masters at snatching defeat from victory. The breaking news this afternoon was that Tottenham have bid for Anthony Martial from Manchester United. The bid has been rejected, though. Maybe Danny Rose's conversation with the Sun did the desired business after all. What's it like, though, if you're starting a season as a player and you're perhaps in that Chelsea dressing room and you're waiting for guys to come in, or you're one of the Tottenham players thinking, where are the new signings?
It's a bugbear of mine, this, when you come out and speak out loud and say, why are they not signing new players and we should be doing this. As a player, a professional pre-season, worry about yourself. Get yourself tip-top. Let the club make their signings, let the manager make the decisions. You worry about yourself. The minute you come out and go, I'm disappointed what the club are doing, I think it's not helping me, we should be buying this one. You're getting ideas above your station. Concentrate on your own game.
You know what it is for football fans? It's the timing of this sort of thing. I mean, we know that Coutinho has now emailed in a transfer request. A short time ago, he was happy to sign the new contract. I mean, I remember the quote from Danny Rose when he signed his new deal at Spurs. He said something like, "I couldn't be happier. I'm going to be here until I'm an old man." Football fans love to read that. What they don't want then is 3 or 4 months later, the same player who's happily signed that contract says, I've had enough, actually, I want out. It's the timing that stinks for football fans.
Yeah, it is poor timing. I think Danny's come out and apologised for that. I think he's very regretful of what he said. Yeah, and it doesn't help. That's the main thing. It doesn't help the team, it doesn't help the squad, it doesn't help the supporters or the owners or the manager. It's, as you say, bad timing and just regretful words.
We're football fans as well, and we all think exactly the same. When certain things come out, you just think, why on earth have you said that now? it's not going to end. It's not going to make anybody happy. And we think exactly the same. So the fact that he has apologised, I think he's brave enough to say I'm sorry. Yeah. And if Liverpool do keep Coutinho, the way he responds on the pitch will prove to the Liverpool fans that he's sorry. That's the only way you can do it.
I think Danny Rose's interview stunk of whoever's around him, someone advising him. It wasn't a football. You know, if you're a player and you're in a football club, you know that's not going to help the situation. It smelled to me of someone around him trying to instigate something. I don't know what.
Okay. Look, thanks ever so much for your company today. Enjoyed your first BT Sport Premier League game? It's been good, hasn't it? Despite the fact that you wouldn't know this at home, it's the magic of television. We're sitting in a building site here. This all looks lovely, doesn't it? But you can probably hear squeaking and banging, and it's a bit echoey. When you got to the Premier League, you're a bit echoey. Shut up, Macca. I'm not making any comments. I'm not ringing you ever again. You were my best friend before today. Right, busy old week. Hoffenheim, Liverpool, and then Celtic Astana, with both of them looking to make it through to the Champions League group stages. Then next weekend, BT Sports Score, followed by Stoke against Arsenal. Are you co-com Stoke Arsenal, Macca?
Yes, I am. Looking forward to it.
I'm sure you won't mess up your words once in the whole 90 minutes.
You're joking, aren't you?
Followed by... I can't understand what you're saying anyway when you're getting your words right. Followed by Premier League tonight between 8 and 9. Listen, really enjoyed this evening. Thank you all very much for your company. Plenty more to come after a cracking start to the new season, and as always, football fans' emotions at the very heart of it. See you later.
And it's only the first day of the season.
Oh my God.
Nothing like the new season to really made, is it?
I'm embarrassed to be a Palace fan today. Same old story again, once again. We just can't score at home.
Someone needs to buy Southampton a barn door for their strikers to aim at.
Opening game, away from home, at the Champions. We'll have that, thank you very much.
Happy with that, very happy with that. Bring on Newcastle next week, let's have it, top of the league.